For decades, he wasn't just a man, he was a phenomenon, a cultural landmark etched in the vibrant colors of red and yellow. He was the force that took professional wrestling from smoky bingo halls and blasted it onto the global stage, transforming it into the spectacle of sports entertainment we know today. With a tear of a shirt and a cup of his hand to his ear, he could command the roar of 100,000 people, creating an energy that felt like it could power a city. He was an icon, a superhero to millions, the embodiment of a brand of patriotism and power that defined an entire era. For so many, he was immortal. He was a legend, an icon who defined an era. His name was Hulk Hogan, and he was the foundation on which the modern WWE was built. But behind the larger-than-life persona, behind the 24-inch pythons and the deafening roar of Hulkamania, was a man facing battles the world never truly saw. A man whose body was paying the price for a lifetime spent as a titan. And now, the news that has shocked fans worldwide has been confirmed. The seemingly invincible Hulkster is gone. The final bell has rung for one of the most significant figures in pop culture history. On the morning of Thursday, July 24, 2025, the world awoke to news that seemed impossible. Reports began to circulate, first as whispers on social media, then gaining unstoppable momentum as major outlets picked up the story. In Clearwater, Florida, a city synonymous with the legend himself, emergency services had been dispatched to his home just before 10 a.m. The 911 call, audio of which was later released, confirmed the dispatch was for a cardiac arrest. Paramedics arrived at his residence, a quiet and somber scene that stood in stark contrast to the explosive entrances that had defined his public life. He was transported by stretcher to Morton Plant Hospital, a local facility that would become the final dateline in the story of Terry Jean Bollea. Shortly after arrival, he was pronounced dead at the age of 71. The news sent a seismic shockwave through the entertainment world. The family, through Hogan's official Instagram account, shared their grief with the world. "It is with a heavy heart and deep sadness that we confirm we have lost a legend," the statement read. "Our beloved Terry Bollea, known worldwide as Hulk Hogan, passed away today surrounded by his loved ones. At this time of grief, we ask that everyone please respect the privacy of his family and friends." The request for privacy was a quiet plea from a family suddenly thrust into the center of a global outpouring of grief. The confirmation was absolute. The hero of millions had fought his final battle. That the official word from the company he helped build came swiftly. WWE released a statement on its social media platforms, paying tribute to its most important architect. WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away. One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. It was a formal, yet deeply significant acknowledgement. The empire was paying tribute to its founder. For fans who grew up with the three demands: straining, saying your prayers, and taking your vitamins, the news was a gut punch. It felt, as many would later say, like a piece of their childhood had been ripped away. The superhero was mortal, after all, and the question on everyone's mind was immediate and urgent. How could this happen? To understand the end, we must go back to the beginning and examine the incredible, punishing journey of the man who became Hulk Hogan. Before the red and yellow, before the 24-inch pythons, and before Hulkamania was a household name, there was just Terry Bollea, a towering kid from Augusta, Georgia, raised in Tampa, Florida. He first showed promise as a musician and a baseball player, but his physique was undeniable. Standing at a formidable 6'7", he was a giant among men, and the world of professional wrestling, always searching for the next larger-than-life attraction, came calling. His early days in the late 1970s were a grueling education in the brutal reality of the business. The rings were often unforgiving, little more than plywood planks with a thin layer of canvas stretched over them. The travel was relentless, a blur of highways, cheap motels, and sold-out armories. It was an era when wrestlers were expected to be legitimately tough, to absorb incredible punishment night after night, and just move on to the next town. It was in this crucible of pain and perseverance that Terry Bollea began to forge the persona that would change everything. His first major break came not in wrestling, but in Hollywood. Cast by Sylvester Stallone as the cartoonishly menacing Thunderlips in 1982's Rocky III, Hogan was introduced to a mass audience. His charisma and sheer physical presence leaped off the screen. This was the moment a young and ambitious Vince McMahon Jr. saw the future. He saw not just a wrestler, but a superhero in the flesh, the perfect person to carry his vision of a national, pop culture-infused wrestling promotion. When Terry Bollea returned to the then WWF in late 1983, he wasn't just a big man anymore. He was Hulk Hogan. On January 23, 1984, in a moment now etched in wrestling lore, he defeated the Iron Sheik for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship in Madison Square Garden. The crowd's reaction was explosive, a primal roar of approval. That signaled the birth of a new era. Hulkamania was running wild. For the next decade, Hulk Hogan was the sun around which the entire professional wrestling universe orbited. He was the main event of the first WrestleMania, an event that gambled the entire future of the company. He, alongside Mr. T, with Muhammad Ali as a guest referee and Liberace as the timekeeper, created a cultural moment that blended sports, celebrity, and spectacle in a way no one had ever seen before. His matches against giants like Andre the Giant, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and Randy Macho Man Savage weren't just athletic contests. They were epic morality plays of good versus evil. But what the millions of Hulkamaniacs didn't see was the cumulative toll. Main event status meant working 300+ days a year, absorbing punishment in every single match. And at the heart of that punishment was his iconic finisher, the atomic leg drop. To the fans, it was the exclamation point on a heroic victory. To Hogan's body, it was a weekly, sometimes daily, act of spinal compression. Night after night, he would leap into the air and slam his tailbone into the mat, sending a shockwave up his spine. It was a move that paid the bills and built an empire, but it was also a move that was slowly destroying his back. When he jumped to World Championship Wrestling (WCW) in the mid-90s, the physical demands didn't let up. As the leader of the revolutionary New World Order UNWO, Hogan reinvented himself as the villainous Hollywood Hogan, breathing new life into his career and sparking the most successful period in WCW's history. He was once again the top star, the main event, and the man carrying the company on his battered back. The schedule remained punishing, the bumps stayed brutal, and the damage to his body kept compounding. His final WWE match took place in 2006, a victory over Randy Orton at SummerSlam. He left the ring a legend, but he would carry the physical consequences of that legend for the rest of his life. The cheers had faded, but the pain was just beginning its own main event run. The story of Hulk Hogan's final decade isn't one of a quiet retirement. It's a chronicle of a relentless war waged against his own body, a painful struggle to repair the damage from a lifetime in the ring. The cheering crowds were replaced by the sterile quiet of hospital recovery rooms, the championship belts by surgical braces. As he told an interviewer in 2023, the numbers were staggering, stating he'd had around 25 surgeries in the last 10 years alone. The list was a comprehensive catalogue of a wrestler's occupational hazards: both knees replaced, both hips replaced, and multiple shoulder reconstructions. But the epicenter of his pain, the source of his most profound struggles, was his back. Of those 24+ surgeries, a staggering 10 were for his spine. The signature move that defined his career, the atomic leg drop, had become his personal cross to bear. Each of those back surgeries was an attempt to silence the chronic agony that became his constant companion. The procedures ranged from laser spine surgeries to massive, invasive fusions, including a 10-hour operation in 2010 to straighten his spine. His physical struggles became a public drama when he filed a $50 million medical malpractice lawsuit against the Laser Spine Institute in 2013, claiming the firm had convinced him to undergo ineffective operations that worsened his condition. The pain took a toll not just physically, but mentally. He became dependent on painkillers, a common and tragic path for many athletes dealing with chronic injuries. He later wrote about his decision to stop taking the medications, choosing to face the raw pain rather than live in a medicated haze. In the years and months leading up to his death, Hogan's health was a subject of intense speculation. In early 2023, reports surfaced from fellow wrestler Kurt Angle that Hogan had undergone another back surgery when nerves were cut, which resulted in him losing feeling in his legs. And just a month before his passing, rumors circulated that he was on his deathbed following a neck procedure. His representatives and family worked to quell the panic. With his wife, Sky Daily assuring fans his heart was strong and that he was recovering from what she described as a major four-level cervical fusion surgery. Despite the brave public face, it was clear his body had endured an unimaginable strain after decades of punishment. On Thursday, July 24, 2025, paramedics rushed to Hulk Hogan's Clearwater home following a 911 call for a cardiac arrest. They performed life-saving measures on the scene before transporting him to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police have stated that there are no signs of foul play or suspicious activity and that a death investigation, which is standard in these cases, is underway. While the emergency call was for a cardiac arrest, an official cause of death has not yet been released by authorities pending that investigation. However, looking at Hogan's public health history, it's clear his body was a case study in cumulative damage. The decades of grueling physicality, the punishing travel schedule, and the stress of being a global icon took a heavy toll. More pointedly, his long and well-documented history of major surgeries created an immense physiological burden. Anesthesia, recovery, and the body's effort to heal from so many invasive procedures all put a tremendous strain on the cardiovascular system. Furthermore, one can't ignore the context of the era in which Hogan became a star. During a 1994 federal trial, Hogan himself testified under oath that he had used anabolic steroids for over a decade, noting the practice was fairly common among wrestlers in the 1980s. Long-term steroid use has been medically linked to a host of cardiovascular problems, including an increased risk of fatal heart attacks. This, combined with a lifestyle that often accompanies life on the road, created a perfect storm of cardiac risk that had been building for over 40 years. The whispers about his declining health in the weeks prior were not mere speculation. They were the visible evidence of a body fighting a losing battle. It seems the price of his immortality had finally come due. In the hours and days following the announcement of Hulk Hogan's passing, the world was flooded with an unprecedented wave of tributes. It was a testament to a man who had transcended the wrestling ring to become a permanent fixture in global pop culture. The reaction came from every corner, from the company he built, the peers who respected him, and the political figures who admired him. The tributes from his brothers in arms were deeply personal and emotional. Ric Flair, Hogan's contemporary and often his rival, expressed profound shock and sadness, calling Hogan an incredible athlete, talent, friend, and father. Vince McMahon, the man who harnessed the power of Hulkamania, set aside a complex history to offer a powerful eulogy. "The world lost a treasure today," McMahon stated. Hulk Hogan was the greatest WWE superstar of all time. The outpouring extended far beyond the squared circle. Sylvester Stallone, who gave Hogan his first major film role in Rocky III, shared a photo of them on set, remembering him as a brilliant personality and showman. Former President Donald Trump, for whom Hogan had been a vocal supporter, called him a great friend with the biggest heart. These tributes, from every walk of life, painted a complete picture of his legacy. He wasn't just a wrestler. He was a television star, a movie personality, a brand, and an American icon. WWE is expected to honor him in the coming days, a formal farewell to the man who made it all possible. His legacy isn't just in the championships he won, but in the existence of the global entertainment juggernaut that is WWE today. He took a niche interest and, through sheer force of charisma, made it mainstream. He made millions of kids believe in a real-life superhero. The story of Hulk Hogan is a complex one. It's a story of unprecedented fame, of changing an entire industry, and of becoming a cultural touchstone. But it's also a story about the profound human cost of creating such a legend. His body, the very source of his incredible strength and fame, ultimately became the source of his greatest battle. He gave everything he had to the business and to the audience he loved. And in the end, that sacrifice was total. A true legend is never forgotten. Their impact is measured in the memories they create and the lives they touch. For over 40 years, Hulk Hogan touched millions of lives. He made us believe, he made us cheer, he made us feel the raw power of Hulkamania. Now, he is at peace. A true legend is never forgotten. Share your favorite memory of Hulk Hogan in the comments below to celebrate the legacy he leaves behind. Tell us what Hulkamania meant to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories honoring the icons of our time.